So on today's video, I mean, it is loaded. It is our first time doing a really long video. It is packed with a whole bunch of stuff that we worked so hard to get done. We are going to be completing the walls. We're going to be doing the ceiling, putting in the AC, working on the kitchen counter. And I mean, there is so much more happening in this video. So let me know in the comments after you're done and you watch it to the end, whether you prefer to have shorter videos or whether you like having that one longer video. I would love to hear your feedback. Hello and welcome back to Modern Neighborhood Living, where, as you know, we have been working on our 1994 Isuzu Elf, and we have gutted everything out, and we are now in the process of putting everything back together, plus customizing it to what's going to work best for us, because we plan on doing some boondocking. And we want to make sure that we have things like water and all the essentials when we are off grid, if we were off grid for anywhere from like 2 to 3 weeks, let's say. So that is the thought behind everything that we're doing. Give up our apartment and live in the RV because we really wanted to give it that feel of what is it like, what do we need to do so that we can live in there and see what needs to happen as it's happening. For any of you that has ever done renovations, you know that things always take longer. And things always take longer when you're both working full-time, more than 40 hours a week, and then trying to do this on your days off when this is not your thing, right? But needless to say, we gave up our apartment, we lived in here, we were able to see what worked, what needed to be changed, and although, it was definitely a transition, I'm not gonna lie, but it was nice because I felt comfortable with the space. But there was a lot of cleanup. It was like chaos, renovations, things getting thrown outside, buying things, being in a small space, and then having to clean everything up at the end of the night. And remember that eating healthy is really important to us. And of course, we did have our moments, but trying to cook and eat and clean and do all these things was a lot of work, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. So we used the same cardboard stencil for this industrial plastic paneling. So that was quite easy to use. You just use an X-Acto knife, cut it out, we glued it on, and then we stapled just around the perimeter where we're going to be putting the baseboard and around the windows. So we were able to do all of that on all of the walls. That went nice and smooth, so we love how that turned out. It makes the space look really nice and clean and vibrant. We went for the white because small spaces, white is going to make it. other of the RV because we wanted it simple. So we wanted to just have one slot go right across, and because our RV is small, we were able to make that happen. So in the morning, I painted them. So we painted them white again to kind of just make the space look as open and as bright as possible. And I did a couple coats of that. So while that was drying, that's when we were doing the walls inside. Once that was completed, then basically, we just measured it out, cut it, and then I held the wood up on the ceiling, which you don't even think how hard it is to have your arms up for that long. But anyways, we had our hands up in the ceiling, and I was holding the wood, and then my boyfriend was screwing them into the wood pieces that we did when we were insulating. So that turned out fantastic. So we cut that out, and it was time to go from the top. So the funny part is we had a ladder, but we didn't have a ladder that was tall enough for us to be able to get on the roof. So my boyfriend's like, okay, hold on. So what he did is he pulled up the van as close to the RV as possible. And remember, our RV's name is Olivia. So we pulled Betty, the van, super close to Olivia, and then we jumped up on the top and then jumped on the roof. And so from there, we unscrewed everything, cut the hole because we had the wood right from the ceiling in there. And then we sealed, so we had a self-sealant, and that's where we put the base of the AC in there, and it came with the screws, it came with the whole kit. It was actually quite an easy process to put together, which was fantastic. But we thought, so my boyfriend always likes to challenge people and things apparently. So he was like, I'm gonna put the dog up on the roof. So he puts the dog on the roof, and she is in love because she's able to see everything. So she's like owning the place, checking everything out, and we're calling her down, and she didn't know how to get down at first. And so it was pretty cute because after that day of putting her up on the roof, she just loved to go on the roof. So this kind of became like a pretty, a thing that happened on the regular, because she just loved being in the sun and loved being the king of the castle. So anyways, I just thought it was super cute, so I had to share that on the video. But I put the model of the AC so you guys can see. This AC is meant for like a 40-footer. So it is a super heavy-duty AC, but it was super important to my boyfriend to make sure that we had all the air that we wanted and all the heat. So we went, go big or go home, right? Come here. So, come here, Mama. Come here. This way. This way. Are you up there still? Yeah. Alright, so now we are on the fun part. So we had a whole weekend that was just full and super busy and, you know, productive, which is great. I had an extra day off, thankfully, so I was able to clear everything out of the RV and then paint. So when it came to painting and we had the foam boards up, my boyfriend was like, we need to go purple. We need to have a vibrant color in here. Which typically I would not go that route, but I was like, hey, you know what? Let's do it. Why not? And so I went to Home Depot again, and I was looking for those textured brushes, right? And there wasn't one that kind of was giving me that texture that I wanted. I kind of wanted that like popcorn ceiling look, because we did have some screws for the wood that we wanted to add that extra security. So I wanted to be able to kind of blend that out so you wouldn't be able to see it. So I wanted a lot of texture. But the girl at the desk was able to show me this brush that is used for texture. And then there was this paint that you use on deck. And it has like some sand in it, so it has a lot of grit. So she said, if you use this roller and this paint, you should be able to get a really good texture. And so she showed me on the board the different types of texture, and I was all about it. But then the next challenge was that typically they only do like a range from like beige to like a brown, and I wanted purple. And so she was like, okay, well, I've never done this color, but I am totally willing to try. So if you're good at letting me test it out, then I'll do it. So I was like, go for it. Give her. And so she did. And although the purple ended up being a little bit more bold, honestly, I was super happy and just excited to be able to help someone have their creative outlet, but then also have this beautiful, vibrant color in my RV. So I shouldn't say mine, our RV. so for the Kangen machine, this is not a video where I'm trying to sell you something or anything like that. So I'm gonna kind of cut it short, something or anything like that. So I'm gonna kind of cut it short. My boyfriend can go into the whole science and everything like that because he is a distributor and has been for decades and swears by this water. But I'm gonna be honest. When I first met him, I knew nothing about it. I mean, I shouldn't say I knew nothing about it because I've heard of it, but I had never actually done research to know more about it. So he explained some stuff to me, but again, I didn't go into great depths. But what started happening is when we started dating, he started filling up my gallons of containers and making sure that I had this special water, right? And I just want to say, from my personal opinion, is I noticed a huge difference. I noticed a huge difference in my skin, in my digestion, and I don't really notice things like that. So for me to be able to say that, I mean, that's pretty huge. I have not yet tried to change the pH and do the toner, but I do have to say that with more time using it and more research and more stories that I hear, that this is amazing water, and I do highly encourage anyone to do it and try it out. I had this one guest who she had trouble with her hips. I won't get into the crazy details, but basically she was able to walk normal. And then just one day she went hiking and she could not walk. She went to get a lot of medical attention. She spent years, and she's at the point where she is not able to walk on her own. And we started giving her this water, and also just a couple changes in dietary changes. And she right away said that she noticed a huge difference in just even her mobility. But anyhow, that was pretty incredible. That definitely changed my outlook for sure. So I would love for everyone to at least experience it if you can. But I will attach a link below if you want to go through the whole scientific aspect of things, or if you want us to reach out, we could help answer any other questions. Well, my boyfriend, I can't. To make sure that we set everything up and worked around this conversation. So you'll see that there's this perfect little place for it, and it was important that when we're going through hills, potholes, all that stuff, that I wasn't going to jump around, that it would be nice and secure. So look at our cute little compartment that we have. What's awesome is that it hooks up to your sink. And so you're able to turn it on and off and change it and customize it as you go. So it's nice and easy, and we're gonna have amazing water as we go. So that's fantastic. Some people say bring home the bacon, but my man brings home the beef. Check out those cheeks. Nice.
So
damn. Just doing it on top. Got some chopped sirloin, some T-bone, some ribs, some hamburger, round steak, stew steak. I mean, if you want it, yep, you want it, we got it. And remember, we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to have it nice and light. So we get this thing and it's nice and light, but it is so weak and cheaply made that we were like, no, we can't do this. So we ended up getting an industrial commercial sink because we wanted to make sure that we can put everything in the sink while we're moving and avoid getting water everywhere. But now we're at the point where we need to customize our shelving unit. So the thought process behind this is, one, to make sure that it's a good height, that it works well for me, but also that when we're moving and we have our pots and pans or our goodies underneath, that it's not going to fall over, right? But if you remember in one of my previous videos, is my boyfriend really likes having everything open concept. So he likes to be able to see what it is that he has available so that you're not opening and closing drawers or forgetting you have food in a cupboard. So we went with an open concept. Part was quite the challenge for me because going from having all these things in my kitchen and then narrowing it down and then down again and then down again, and then you're thinking, well, I want to be able to cook whatever I want whenever I want, and so you start collecting a little bit more, right? You get rid of it and then you're like, oh, but I really need it. This kitchen counter is a good height. It's built so that when we are moving around, things aren't going to pop, like jump out. And I'm able to narrow things down. The reality is we just got to clean things more often. I didn't realize how much I use until I didn't have a dishwasher. But you don't need all these things. When you take the time to make something from scratch, when you take the time to do something with your hands, it's incredible how much more love and how much better it tastes. But anyhow, back to the counter. Let's check it out. From the other RV, and now the kitchen table wasn't going to fit quite right, which I was like, whatever, it's an inch smaller, big deal. But we were like, you know what, let's do it right. So we did. So I came home from work one day and we hummed and hawed on where what we're gonna do with the table. I'm the humming and hawing, and my boyfriend's like, get it done, get it done. So I came home, and because when we were making that kitchen counter and shelving unit, we just loved the smell of cedar. And so he surprised me, and he made the tabletop with the cedar using the same leg as what we had on our old table. And then I just varnished it and sealed everything in. But I really love that rustic look and that rustic feel. And I didn't want to paint it, so we left it as is. But we now have a beautiful table that's at the correct height for this diner that we now have. And then also we're able to have some guests to sleep, or if we want to change things up, we can go from the master bedroom to the main floor and rest there. So we're super excited that we have options. We've been facing this challenge till today. So for the master bedroom, which we call the master bedroom, but it's above the front seat, right? It's elevated. We ripped the carpet out from there. And then there was like this extra shelving that was on the corner. We ripped that out, so we were actually able to gain almost an extra foot of sleeping space, which was amazing. So we ripped that out, and I was like, okay, I have this brilliant idea, right? Because we all check on YouTube or ask people what they would do, and there was this 3M spray, glue spray that they use for carpet. And then what I did is I got a really light, it was like this material, it's like this stretchy material. And so I was like, okay, this is so light, I'll be able to spray it on and put this up there, and it'll be good, right? Good for now, anyways. And right away, it just started drooping. So I don't know if, like, it was either, I mean, the glue was coming through to the other side because the material was so thin. So I don't know why it didn't hold, but it didn't hold. So that was attempt number 1. And then ripped. Everything out, and we were like, okay, maybe we need to spend a little bit more money and get a carpet. So this way it'll insulate it as well. So that's what we did. We went and got carpet, we fixed it. I mean, we were like upside down with like on our backs with our arms and our legs up, trying to hold that glue up. And we used that same glue, and then we were like, no, you know what, we need something stronger. So then we got something stronger, something that we got from one of our other videos, which I'll post up on here. And then we slotted that on, and we glued it on, and it stayed. And it was great. It was so good. It kept the place nice and warm, and it was perfect. So we're like, nailed it. No No, we didn't, because what started happening is when it started getting hot, it started drooping on one side, which was my side of the bed, which that was not gonna work long term, right? Especially with summer hitting. And I mean, let's be honest, we're gonna be camping, we're gonna be all over the place, so it's gonna come off. So we're like, okay. And I was like, I'm not gonna keep this up here, because if it falls on me, I am not gonna be happy waking up with a carpet on my body. So we ripped it off, and I said, you know what? Trying to get the master bedroom done. It off. I'm going to scrape the glue off, and I'm just going to paint it like similar to that stucco that I used for the cupboards. That's purple, except for I'm going to get the lightest one possible so we can keep it as bright, you know, feeling as big as possible. And then that way it'll be good enough until we get to our destination where we can work on it some more. Well, that was a bust, because remember how I said it had sand in there? Well, I mean, if your body touched this, so like as you're rolling in and out of bed because you have to go to the bathroom or whatever, you're like scraping yourself. So we kind of had this running joke that we were exfoliating every time our skin touched this thing. But besides that, what was happening is the condensation. So when the condensation was happening, depending on the weather outside, it would literally be dripping. The ceiling was dripping. So work on our RV. We ended up putting panels back on, so the same way as what we did with the roof. But because of the shape and because it's round, I guess we're having a hard time figuring out what is the best material and what is the best way to get this done so it will stay, so you don't have to do it again. So if you've done anything like this, please let me know. I would love to do this one last time. So make sure that you leave your comments at the bottom there. Okay. So 99% of RV curtains are hideous and ugly looking, okay? And we always talk about a few things. One, how to make it look cute. Two, how do we keep the heat out, right? So a lot of times we just end up covering them and just calling it a day. Our first van, we got them custom made from one of my guests, which she did a phenomenal job. But I didn't want to bug her because I know she had, she had a tough time because she wanted them to be perfect, and I didn't want to put her through that. So these blinds we love because it goes good with our theme. We're able to roll them down, but they are UV resistant. So it helps to keep that heat from radiating inside and keep the space really nice and dark. But we like the fact that it was just easy to just roll up and down. So that's what we decided to go for. of these, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for being part of our journey.